We've got the ability to take people's suffering away in a clinical way, and it should be my choice.
I would like to be able to calmly and quietly call it a day. I would ideally like to have that happen at home or in a hospice, not on the way to an A&E or waiting for an ambulance.
I regarded what we had helped Mum to do as an act of love, and now I was plunged into a police investigation.
It's like knowing the date of like a car crash when a murderer is going to come into your house. It's unnerving, it's scary.
For disabled people like myself, it's bad enough as it is now, so let alone adding a treatment called assisted suicide. No thank you.
I will take a drink, I will die. Hopefully painlessly.
If I couldn't make music, life would be awful. Here we go. So you can see the mouse follows my head, and that camera follows a point on my nose, my big old hooter. You have to be able to click, which I do by poking out my tongue. You can see that getting activated. Raise your eyebrows, drag it around. And I can drag stuff about, you see. This is how you compose. Intro. I was a music teacher for 16 years. I'd gone to university, studied music and English, DJing and doing clubs and stuff like that. 90s raver, basically. I'll turn it off now. There we go. Multiple sclerosis is your own immune system attacking your nervous system. You'll die from related conditions, basically. So you might not be able to swallow, so you might die of choking. I've rationalised all this stuff a long time ago, so it's shit, it's a fuck up, but what can you do? If I was able-bodied, I'd be able to go and drive myself to Beachy Head, throw myself in the English Channel. But I'm not in a position to do that. I wouldn't have done that when I was able-bodied enough to do it, because I haven't got a death wish here. Is it better for my kids to kind of say goodbye to me in the nearer future? Get over the grief and get on with their lives? Or to have me kind of there, ill, for possibly years, and excuse me, I have to pause occasionally so I don't blub. Trying to get Dignitas, get the green light from them, so I can just have that in my back pocket, and if the time comes, activate it and, you know, wait for the final stages to be sorted out and then do it. This is
regulates
my bowels.
I have to admit, I put it to the back of my mind because I find it really hard to actually believe that it's actually going to happen.
It's a horrible idea, dying in a Swiss clinic, but we will support, speak for Frankie, I think, I'm sure in this, what he wants to do. If he wants to do it, we'll do it.
He just doesn't want to be totally incapacitated. I think he'd rather just, you know, go at a time of his choosing.
Yeah, we've got mixed feelings. On one hand, he'd leave a big hole in our lives if he wasn't here. On the other hand, we don't like to see him suffer.
If it got to a point where he was greenlit to go to Switzerland, you would take him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hesitate.
Yeah.
My Lords, I wonder if the Noble Elder Minister could comment on the remarks made to me by an MS sufferer I know very well, and that is, the remarks were that MS is a Cinderella service in the NHS. It does not get its fair share of resources.
If he wants to do it, I mean, I will support him in any way that I possibly can. And there could be consequences, legal consequences, for me and perhaps in particular, but I mean, I'd face up to them.
I'm very anxious about it, really. Anxious, well, worried.
We started to go out together in 1976. I was 18, he was 21. We worked in the same office. And we got married 4 years later in 1980. We didn't have any children, but we have travelled extensively. Trevor was very keen to learn to scuba dive, so we qualified in 1991. The thought of being on my own after he's gone is quite tough because I've never lived on my own. And I think this is what Trevor finds most upsetting and why he's getting emotional. It's not about what's going to happen to him. It's about leaving me behind on my own. He used to talk about if you could only ever eat one fruit, what would it be? And have a discussion about what would be our favourite fruit and the one you would want. And he can't eat anything. It's not just a matter of not fruit, but or whatever. It's so hard when you've been really interested in food and cooking your whole life, is to not to be able to eat anything and everything goes through a feeding tube. This is a suction machine or aspirator, and it helps to remove the saliva from his mouth. He's unable to swallow at all, but the body still goes on producing saliva, so it can choke him. And this one is a ventilator to help him breathe when he struggles to get air in and out. It forces the air into the lungs. Even if you don't make an attempt to breathe, it still continues.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you describe the quality of your life at the moment?
I assume one is very bad.
Very, very bad. Try and describe for us what the last 6 months has been like. Five months have been okay as I was able to bake.
Yes. He still had movement in his arms and hands, so he's been able to bake bread for most of our friends and neighbours, and that has been his passion and his happy place.
Trevor's told me that he can't bake.
He's not baking, no.
Are there any painkillers so that it's not unbearable?
The pain clinic at the hospital, St Thomas's, said that the painkillers don't work for his sort of pain because it's neurological pain.
How long could this go on?
The life expectancy for this type of motor neuron disease is 6 months to a maximum of 3 years. So he's done well to do 2 years. I don't think he will make 3. We had lots of plans for things that we would do together once we retired. We've been saving all our life to have a really good retirement and spend time abroad. We did most things together. We ended up working together for the brilliant company she founded. Oh.
My experience extends to caring for several thousand dying patients. Doctors know they can't make many of the life or death judgments this bill asks. This is not a job for doctors, already on their knees after the pandemic. This is an extremely complex issue. The more that I've thought about it, the more aware I've been of the dangers of changing the law. You can see a terribly sad situation and think that the answer would be to speed up death. Now, as a legislator, I have to think, what is the effect of changing the law on the whole of our population, on the way that we deliver care and what we do? And I've seen how people will be in despair and cannot believe things could improve, are frightened, their families are frightened, and yet when they get the care that they need, they will say, I never believed I could have lived this well. And how people change and adapt and do amazingly creative things in the last, sometimes moments of their lives.
I've worked quite closely with lots of other house builders locally who've looked at my plans and turned them round or gone white, and we've seen all the colour drain out of their faces.
Now they're starting to build the internal walls, we can see where things are going, so we can start planning. I've already got the kitchen catalogues, of course.
I'm looking forward to the time where we can take all this back, one wheelbarrow at a time, and put it back on the roof and get grass down again. That's the plan. The idea of building this house is a house that sort of looks after itself. It heats itself, it cools itself.
It is a good way of life, and we see more of Phil, and we have a good family life. I love it here.
Good morning. All right. Yeah. Let me sit up. Open that curtain a little bit.
We are managing my way out of this life as best as possible. There might be periods where you flatten out, stay stable for a while, but it is a one-way road. I don't know what it's like to be disabled from an injury, but I'm clearly disabled Can't use my legs and my hands and most of my arms and other bits. But I'm also ill, and it's the illness that's killing me. Breathing, I can't breathe lying down anymore. I think the hospital has me part way through respiratory failure, which isn't very cheerful to read.
So Monday we're going to go to Leeds. We're going to so 4 of us are going on the train.
You don't want to get stuck on the train again though.
Yeah, well that has happened. We went down to London, we got into King's Cross and we were waiting for the man with the ramp and nobody came.
Nobody turned up.
I think our lives look quite normal from the outside. I think even our friends think we're doing much better than we probably are. And no, our lives behind closed doors are absolutely not normal. They are really, it's quite traumatic living with a situation like this. And it's not going to get easier. On a day like today, things are quite calm and Phil is all right, but some days it's not like that at all.
Can I have some blackberries then? I've been disabled and sick, and it was only when a doctor asked me, do I feel more sick than disabled now?
Okay.
Is that a good one?
Yeah.
That I suddenly really began to separate the two. And I realise now that it's the illness that's murder. Not a great one, no. You knew that was a bad one.
They're never as nice as you think they're going to be.
You know, being in a wheelchair is not easy either, but the real killer is the illness.
I told you that was going to be a good one.
Like a prince of blackberries. I would like to be able to calmly and quietly call it a day. I would ideally like to have that happen at home or in a hospice, not in a general hospital, not in an A&E, not on the way to an A&E or waiting for an ambulance. I would like to pick the time and go peacefully.
Actually, I think I did just feel a bit of rain then.
Okay.
We're good. Right, we're going slowly.
A former Lord Chancellor has appealed to the Justice Secretary to change the law on assisted dying after a Rutland man's appeal to the High Court was refused. The Labour peer, Charlie Falconer, says Phil Newby from Oakham, who has motor neurone disease, has been badly let down.
I think if there was any message from our court case, it was, and any success, it was that the High Court judge and then the Court of Appeal judges absolutely and very brusquely threw me out as a signal to politicians that they'd had enough of dealing with this stuff and it could only be touched by Parliament.
The thing that I felt most strongly about was the response from the Justice Minister, who basically said that Phil could end his own life if he wanted to by just stopping eating and drinking. And I was stunned by that. That was a shocking response.
My own mother was very strongly in favour of euthanasia, and when she was dying and we thought she had 6 weeks to live, she was extremely angry with me that I'd opposed it. The hospice thought that she was going to be dead within a few weeks. She died 4 years later, not 4 to 6 weeks later. She went home from the hospice. We looked after her at home, and she made a radio programme with me saying how glad she was that she was still alive, and changed her mind completely later on.
Chris, you want to sleep all right? Yeah?
Not bad at all.
Christy, put the bottle on here. Bit of 2, 3, 3.
The tricky thing with MS is that I don't think he could say how things are going to progress.
You did give an example.
He gave an example of a woman who has already passed away, who was in my kind of position. She got a succession of respiratory infections, pneumonias, that sort of thing. Every time she got one, she said, oh, I want to go to Dignitas. And then she recovered, and then she said, oh, I don't want to go anywhere.
Well, perhaps he was thinking...
But that's exactly why I'd want to go to Switzerland, because last time I was in hospital with a respiratory infection, feeling like shit, I did think, listen, I can't keep going through this. I can't keep dragging, you know, everyone through this every year or twice a year.
You know, you may well say, no, I'm not ready yet. You know, it could be quite a long sort of process.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
You are heroic in the way you're coping with it.
No.
Yes, you are. Sorry,
Yeah, you
you're
are.
my hero, Dan.
Yeah.
To us, your sort of gradual going downhill has almost become natural, you know, but it's not. It's absolutely horrendous. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
My journey in Saigon was very painful because bombs were throwing off, bullets firing up in the dark sky, and booming sound, and running under the bed for shelter. I remember the people coming outside our house, threatening us to repatriate us to educational camp. And my parents said we have to go. So we left everything. I remember I was food poisoned. I got taken to hospital and I wore no shoes. I was made to go barefooted.
And then eventually you came to England and you went to university. What was university like?
It was a breath of fresh air. That's where I met Andy.
I first met Kim in 1991. Kim was studying chemistry at UMIST and I was one of her lecturers. Kim and I started a relationship in 1993 after she had graduated, and we fell in love straight away. My son Sean and Kim became very close, which has continued to this day. We were married in 1998. In 2003, our son Josh was born.
Joshy, look, this is hard. It's a pressure cooker, isn't it? Bob the Bobo! Bob the Builder, who's this from?
It's possibly another tin.
That is saucy. From Wynne and Alan.
In December last year, Kim was diagnosed with a terrible terminal illness.
Progressive supranuclear palsy, PSP. It's an ultra-rare disease. It is a progressive neurodegenerative disease. Many of the brain cells that are affected by this are ones that control balance and movement. There's a basket case of problems.
It's losing someone's self completely, and you can actively see it happening. And from the way they smile, the way they talk, they're not in the same headspace and they never will be again. And you've lost someone who's incredibly dear to you, and you don't know how much you're going to lose each day. And that's terrifying.
If you hold my hand like that.
Like that.
You're not sad.
Of course, everyone is sad.
Sean, I'm going to say this only once. Look after your dad for me. Look after Josh as well.
You know I will.
I'm going to say the same to your dad and to Josh. You're a good boy, Sean.
What is it, sweetheart? It's okay. Shall we get some tissue?
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm wearing the tissue here, look. Thanks, Ricky. The first thing she said was, I want to go to Dignitas. And I've tried to be completely clear and honest with her and said, okay, but you can say no at any time, and we've always got the fallback of palliative care. You want to have a lie down?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go and do that. And I've tried to be planning that in parallel anyway, because we just don't know what's going to happen, right?
Is there a bit of you that wishes she would choose that option?
That's a tough question. Yes, of course, but at the same time, I don't want to see her suffer. So, and if those are her wishes, it's my responsibility to help her get there somehow.
I think since I started working with Kim from January, her condition has deteriorated. Kim was lovely, and then she used to tell me, oh, if I get well, the first thing I'll do for you, I'm going to help you, I'm going to do acupuncture for you, I'm going to massage you, you know. She used to tell me all that. And as time goes on, over the months, she got worse.
Are you going to be okay? Josh, will be okay?
I promise you will be okay.
Don't want. I'm sad, Joshi. I'm sad. I'm so sad because my robot is not here with me anymore. Oh.
We'll be fine. You don't need to look after us. We can be fine.
I'm really with you.
You're going to keep an eye on us, aren't you, anyway?
Yeah, I'm not going to go anywhere, me. I'm not
Promise.
going to go.
How sure are you, with 1 being not very sure and 10 being very sure, that this is how you want to end?
10. He's being very sure. I mentioned 10.
Come here, Mummy, pick you up. There, Joshi, smile.
Because I'm fed up with this life. It's also pain. In my legs, in my calves, in my toes. I'm quite sure because there's no alternative. Because each day I feel bad, getting worse. And that's the only way you can doing it.
Okay.
You're a religious woman, aren't you?
I was.
Are you still?
I'm not sure. I pray to God, but He hasn't answered me.
Some religious people would say that you mustn't go to Switzerland.
Rubbish. I say rubbish.
It's a no-no for me. Apart from my personal views, when you talk about religious views, I'm a Muslim. It's forbidden in Islam for you to kill yourself. It is forbidden. You can't even think of it. You're not even allowed to think of it, not to talk of, killing yourself. And when you do that in Islam, it is believed you are going to hell. Yeah, you're going to hell. That is it, straight away.
Are you frightened?
I am. I don't know what is on the other side.
My mum was a proud, hard-working, diligent, committed woman. Married when she was 19, a wife of nearly 60 years. She was a great mum to myself and my sister. My mum was very game, she was. I took her on holiday to Lanzarote I think it was about five years ago. And we went on a catamaran trip one day, and she had it in her head that she'd like to go on the jet ski, so the minute the guy said the jet ski was available, her hand was the first one in the air. Then everything changed in May of 2019. She was waiting at the bus stop in her town where she lived, in Yorkshire, to go to her dance class that afternoon. She collapsed at the bus stop, and somebody called an ambulance, and she was taken to hospital in Hull. She was a different woman in the blink of an eye. It was heartbreaking to see how much effort she put into, especially the work she did with the physiotherapist. And then, I don't know if something happened, but she was rushed back to hospital one day. They thought perhaps she'd had another stroke because her speech was suddenly set back again, and she never really got back from that setback. And I think that's why she found the life of significant disability so difficult, because it completely turned the tables on who she'd been. It's Mandy Appleyard here with my mum, Janet. And I was just going to ask you about your decision to go to Switzerland.
Yes.
Do you understand what that means, to
Yes,
go to Dignitas? What does it mean, love?
It means you didn't die.
It means that you'll die, yeah. By suicide, which
Yes.
you understand. And what makes you want to do that, Mum? Why have you decided that you want to go to that
I don't want
place?
to live.
What can't you do, Mum, that you want to be able to do?
Talk properly.
Talk properly.
Walk.
Walk.
And I want to have one hand.
And you can't do anything with one hand. She had asked us to kill her several times. She had asked us to smother her. She'd asked us to leave her medication on her little table across her bed so that she could take an overdose. She'd asked about could we leave an apple and a paring knife next to it so she could use a knife. To have my mum ask my sister and I to murder her, to take her life, was unimaginably sad. Has anybody influenced you in that decision?
No.
And have you ever felt that you wanted to change your mind
No.
about that decision? Okay,
No.
all right. All right, well, we've got it on record, haven't we?
Yes.
Okay, love.
Bye-bye.
I do remember asking her if she was making that decision for herself, because I said, I can't live with it if you make that decision for my sister and for me. Because we're your daughters and we'll care for you, and we're in this situation. And she said, no, it's my decision, it's what I want for me. I don't know if it was, but that's what she said. It's my decision for me.
I'm tired of living.
You're tired of living? Okay, all right. So you've had no second thoughts about what you want to do?
No effort.
A person who feels that they have lost everything in life and their life is all about loss, there are two aspects to that. One of them is that what are the things that are still there that can be built on and are positive? And then who decides to cut that life short? How do you know that that really is the person's wish? Or is it that they feel that that's what they should do to relieve a burden on others rather than it really being where they feel they want to go? Death is the end. That's it. And so many families will say, we were really prepared for the death, but when it came, it was a shock.
He's now too weak to be able to get all the way to Switzerland with all this equipment. It just it's looking like it's not really going to be an option for him now. We have paid a deposit just under £4,000. The full amount would be between £12,000 and £15,000, so this makes it an elitist option.
Did you ever think that it might be okay to have what is now available to you only, which is palliative care, hospice, and so on?
I don't want that because it means Di sees me suffer. Yeah.
Trevor, have you ever felt pressured to have an assisted death?
It's totally from him. He has said to me on numerous occasions, I don't want to live like this anymore. Utter boredom, pain, both actual and emotional, and my sense of smell works perfectly, so I smell the food but can't even try a tiny bit. He said he's ready now. He wasn't ready a month ago, and now he is. But we can't do it because it's not an option here, and he has these 2 weeks to get to Switzerland.
Would anybody like some wine? Anyone?
No.
Or is it just going to be me? I'll sit next to Kim and help her eat if she needs to. This is really hot.
No.
Is that enough spaghetti?
Yeah.
You want a little bit more? That's not terribly much.
Excuse me, Mama?
Well, you can try, see how you do. I know it's a little bit tricky.
Well, it's been a very long time since I tried squid.
When did you have it last? Catch you out of the way. And move that away. Have you pinched my napkin?
I like the beetroot.
That's good, that's good.
It's like knowing the date of like a car crash or when a murderer is going to come into your house. It's unnerving, it's scary, and it's awfully quiet.
I think, to be honest, I'm literally not thinking about anything, not even the return flight, but actually just getting to that date and time, supporting Kim, whatever it takes.
I'd like to be the one to comfort her and to make sure she's okay. And to just be there for her. Because I don't think I'd be able to live with myself if during a very, very hard time for her, and I've spent 19 years with her, that I wouldn't be there for her.
Right. Do you recognise what kind of cake it is? What's one of your favourite kinds of cakes that you used to like making yourself?
Cheesecake.
Yeah, German chocolate cheesecake. Happy birthday.
Various medical reports had to be secured, including a psychiatric assessment to determine whether or not she was depressed, because depression creates a lot of difficulties for people who want to go to Dignitas, because their view, quite rightly, is that if somebody's depressed, They may cease to be depressed next Tuesday or next year, and therefore they might have made a very different decision about their end of life. Several people that we approached for assessments refused to help Mum. One of them had agreed to assess Mum, and we'd set everything up for that Friday, and then phoned the day before and said she'd spoken to the governing body, and they had said, you shouldn't do this because it may be an assisted dying inquiry, so you can't go there. There was a police officer from Humberside Police and a social worker from East Riding of Yorkshire Council. My mum was in her chair, where she always was. My sister Kay was looking after her in the lounge. They questioned them to begin with on whether there was a plan for Mum to go to Dignitas. Mum said it was a private matter, a family matter, and she didn't want to talk about it with a third party, and it was nobody else's business. And the police said to my sister in front of my mum, do you realise that if you are planning that, it's murder, it's manslaughter, it's a serious prison sentence for you. This isn't a road that you can go down.
Don't forget that in this country, elder abuse is a big problem. 1 in 5 people over the age of 65 have been abused, usually financially or emotionally or by neglect. Doctors don't pick that up. They don't pick up the coercion that goes on behind closed doors. They don't know about it. And now we have an NHS which is on its knees. We have a shortage of doctors. We have ever lengthening waiting lists. And yet you're going to take doctors away from providing care to be the judge and jury to assess patients as to whether they should have lethal drugs to shorten life. And there's no backfilling. So more and more people are not going to get the care they need. We banned capital punishment because there had been wrongful convictions. We know that there have been misdiagnoses. We know of someone who was told he had severe lung disease in Canada. He had lethal drugs, his life was ended, and at post-mortem, that lung disease was not there at all. This was misinformation. We know from other jurisdictions that young women who had been sexually abused earlier in life, severely abused, in despair, now with anorexia and other mental health conditions, have been given lethal drugs.
I sort of think it's the usual muddying of the waters. It's the same stuff about whether anorexic girls should be allowed to take their own lives. And this stuff is never going to be within the scope of a law put forward.
It's always about people, whether they're mentally competent. If you're talking about a teenager with anorexia, they are going through a mental health condition, which means that they're not mentally competent. So we shouldn't be talking about them, as you say, or children under a certain age. They don't need to be brought into this conversation at all.
Yeah. Where people are weak or vulnerable or exposed to risk, you can just shut down the risk with a decent bit of legislation.
Until the age of 3, I was non-disabled. And then in 1949, I got polio, was paralysed from the waist down, was put in a machine called an iron lung, and that's the only reason I'm here talking to you. This is serious stuff. It's not easy to talk about, or it's not a subject that people want to really think about, because it's about people dying. The debates about disability and end of life really began to gain traction 15 years ago as a solution to ending interminable suffering, you know, that kind of thing. So disabled people like myself and others began to get very worried about where we would fit in this new world. It's bad enough as it is now, so let alone adding a treatment called assisted suicide. No, thank you. Feels a bit like the sort of meeting at the OK Corral.
I feel like the same. How are you, Phil? Nice
how
to
you
meet
doing?
you.
Good
Very
to
nice
see
to
you.
meet you.
Nice to
at
meet
last.
you too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
In
good
the
place to get
flesh.
run over as well.
Yeah.
Yes. It's lovely to see you.
As if we
Phil.
haven't got enough to worry about.
No, I know. I kind of, it's an odd kind of meeting, isn't it?
It is. It
yeah,
is.
But it's lovely to see you.
And you too.
The question we should ask ourselves, maybe, Phil, is how do two such fine gentlemen in wheelchairs end up, you know, in a park on a grey day, which is a good day to talk about death, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What got us here, Phil?
I'm part of a group of disabled people called Not Dead Yet UK, and our mission is to resist all attempts to change the law on assisted suicide. Yeah. So what that does is put you and me together.
Yeah, as adversaries.
No, I wouldn't say adversaries. I would say that you have your view and I have mine.
It's people like you and me who are actually in the middle of this debate.
Yeah. I think we probably all have views about suicide. And sadly, for very severely disabled people like yourself, administering your own medication, say, to kill yourself, is beyond your physical capabilities. So there is no question that for people like yourself, who face a very uncertain future that is out of your control, is terrifying. Putting it blunt, it's how I would feel anyway.
Yeah, it's frightening, yeah.
But I think until we have systems in place that can provide first-class social care, can provide first-class end-of-life care, palliative care, it, in my view, would be dangerous to change the law. And we have never really looked at one main cause for people wanting to end their lives, which, far from popular belief, is pain. It isn't. It's about being a burden. You and I both rely incredibly on our partners, my wife, your wife.
Yeah.
And there will be times, I know, when I think having me around, apart from my charming personality, having me around stops Sue doing things. There's no question about that.
Absolutely.
And it's going to get worse as I get older. So I think that it's dangerous to offer assisted suicide as a treatment plan as opposed to the more expensive palliative care, social care and so on.
I feel that, but there comes a point where, you know, if there is no more value, if there is no more enjoyment in life and there's more suffering, then by keeping me alive, it's you know, it's not good for anyone, and least of all me. Right. So Phil, how do you feel about assisting a suicide?
A Reggie Perrin.
Yeah. I'm resigned to the fact that nothing will change in my lifetime, but there are a lot of people like me who will find ways in the very lonely and desperate circumstances of taking their own lives. Hundreds of terminally ill people do that every year. I know that palliative care can take away pain. I had 5 sets of drugs last night, and I know it can take away anxiety, but it can never really take away my anguish, you know, the burden of struggling to breathe. I say, well, what about us? How long do people like us have to wait?
For people around now that are managing the end of their lives without the legal recourse to assisted suicide, that's obviously awful.
Yeah.
But what I'm also trying to get across is that disabled people often feel very vulnerable, and it's very difficult to then say, of course, change the law that makes our position even more vulnerable, potentially.
Potentially, and you see the words you used a lot in that, like the mights and coulds and potentially. Now I know that there's, you know, some fairly definites in the way I'm going.
Here we're talking about something that's going to lead to potentially people dying. So good enough isn't...
Hopefully it will.
Yeah, but good enough is not good enough. We've got to be sure that we've put in place all of the components that protect everybody from harm, basically. And I think it's fair to say that the jury's out amongst disabled people. Disabled people don't all go, no way.
No.
Most disabled people are either not sure what they think about this, or they take one view, which is no way, or they say, I want to die by my own hand.
But it's kind of ironic because the polling shows that, you know, across religious groups and across disabled and non-disabled people, that they're, you know, in favour of a change in the law. Right. So Phil, is the law going to change?
I think the answer's probably yes.
Yeah.
I'm a realist.
Yeah.
There's enough momentum behind something changing on assisted suicide that it will happen at some point. Maybe when I'm not here either, but we have to fashion this in a way that works for us.
My fear about this really is that we're going to be, as a country, shamed into this and rushed into this. And that will involve bad legislation, and that'll be a right mess. And you won't benefit from that. In fact, no one will benefit from that.
This must look really weird. Good technique for licking lollies, maybe. Got to write this biographical sketch, which is a bit weird because I've never had to do something like this before, as well as the technology being a bugger. It's a inverse job. I never thought about it like that. Application to die. So, born in Chatham, Kent, 1976. Parents Frankie and John Monks. Diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in, maybe it doesn't like the word sclerosis, infuriating. Have the use of my left arm and hand. Crap. I think it doesn't like my kind of slightly chavvy North Kent accent. I'm just approaching this process as I would anything else I've approached in life. And the fact that it's about my demise, ultimately, is by the by.
But you're determined to do it, aren't you? Because you're never thinking about an alternative.
I always have been determined to do it, but I'm open-minded about when, and I'm certainly not in a position where I want to die yet. If I can get all this sorted and organised, then when the time comes, I can just say, right, you know, book the Channel Tunnel, we're off to Switzerland. That's my get out of jail free card, you know, because that's what it is, that's what it will feel like.
Do you feel that you've got months, got years?
It flips around. It's bad, I'll feel like, oh, I've got 3 or 4 months left. At other times, I won't even think like that, you know. I'll be making plans for next year and booking holidays for the summer, and which we've done. You know, every Christmas I'm like, this is the last Christmas.
He spent a lot of time texting people. He instructed me on how to make the Trevor signature loaf for the staff. Then towards the end of the day, he said, take the dogs for a walk and then you can take me back to the hospice. Come on, Meg. I was a few fields away and my phone pinged. So the text says, "My dearest friend, lover and wife, I'm so sorry for what I have done. I cannot continue with my life the way it is now. I can't walk, talk, eat, and I'm losing the use of my right arm and leg. I'm only bringing forward the inevitable. I love you more than I can say, and I thank you for spending your life with me. Your ever-loving husband, Trev." Of course, I wouldn't have to do this if this stupid country allowed assisted dying! ! You will find me in the workshop. Don't hate me, please, Di. He'd clearly taken an overdose. And these drugs, which I didn't know what they were or where he'd got them from, obviously pre-planned, and he'd put them through the tube. He was unconscious, but his heart was still beating. 2.5 hours later, I think it was, he still hadn't died. Any means of ending his own life was taken from him, which left him with the only option he had, is to prevent them from giving him any nutrition. So he stopped taking water as well. To start with, I thought, good on you, Trev, that's the only way you're going to do what you want, and hopefully no water will mean it will happen quite quickly. But I didn't realise how desperately thirsty he would get, and it was really horrible to watch. And I did say to him, "Are you sure you want to do it like this?" But absolutely he did. It was his only choice. I was so lucky to find him. We were good together. It's horrible. It's horrible not having him here. But he's in the best place for him now. Once he was able to communicate on his iPad after his suicide attempt, I asked him if he wanted me to see you guys again and tell the end of his story, and he was insistent that I did. He felt passionately that he should have had the choice to do what he wanted to do, and me not to have to face potential legal connotations.
Okay, we're recording now. So, so Kimmy, what day is it today?
It's Sunday.
Sunday the what, do you know?
No.
And a week today, we should be over in Switzerland. So why is that?
I want to die. I don't want them to put you in jail. Because it's not your fault. I decided this, and you helped me to achieve it by emailing them, because I want you to do this.
So you completed all the forms and things, though, haven't you? And asked me to get them sent off and things for you. And I'm going to accompany you to Switzerland.
And our stepson and Josh, our son.
And what will happen there?
I will take a drink I will die. Hopefully painlessly.
We have a law at the moment which has a firm face but a kind heart. If somebody assists suicide in this country, if there is evidence that the person tried really hard to support the person, dissuade them, the law looks on them in a much more lenient way, but every case is assessed individually. The boundary is clear, the message is clear, you don't do it. If you break it, the extenuating circumstances are looked at in a kindly way by our law. That's how our law works.
When we got back from Switzerland, we went back to our respective homes, and then my sister was in bed at 7 p.m. on the Sunday evening the following day when there was a violent banging on her front door. It was Humberside police saying that they had reason to believe a crime had been committed. And they came and they did the interview, and they were very sympathetic, and they were very reassuring when they left that this was a procedural thing. Somebody had reported a crime, so they had to be seen to be investigating that. But not to worry, it's the most likely outcome here is that within 6 weeks you will get a missive from the Crown Prosecution Service saying that it's not in the public interest to prosecute you, or that there's no case to answer. It didn't happen like that. The police asked me for permission to go through my bank account. They asked for my access to my sister's bank account. They went to Mum's 2 sisters, to a close family friend, and to one of her carers, and asked for witness statements as to Mum's state of mind. And I did a 2-hour interview under police caution. So it would go for 2 or 3 months, and it would seem as if things were quiet, and I would forget about it, and then I'd have another phone call saying, right, well, now you need to produce this, and now you need to produce that. I regarded what we had helped Mum to do as an act of love. And that was criminalised, obviously, and it made it feel dirty, and it drove it underground. I was seething with anger. I was angry that we were distracted again and again and again from mourning our mum. And increasingly, as time went by, thought that there was a very real chance that I might go to prison for 14 years. I had serious suicidal thoughts when it came to the possibility of a prison sentence. I just couldn't have gone to prison. I couldn't have done it. I would rather have been dead than serve a prison sentence for what happened.
I always love you, Andy, and I always will, and I will love you till the end of my life, even beyond.
Same here. Same here. Don't be sad. You make me sad, don't stop it. If you don't want to go through with this, love, you can always change your mind. You must be sure, okay?
I will go because it is unbearable.
I understand.
And it's not fair to ask you to care for me.
I don't mind caring for you, but I don't like to see you suffer, and if that's your decision, that is, you just must be sure. Okay?
I'm sure.
Okay. Got it.
I'm really lucky I'm alive to have you and Josh and Chantal on my hand. when I go.
Well, none of us want you to be alone. You can't be alone. We're going to be there to support and love and care for you, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
You know you don't come back from this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You okay with that?
No, I have to.
You don't have to.
You warm enough? I'm gonna pop that there. All right.
You ready for...
Are we ready for off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to say that halfway down the road we missed anything? No?
Documents, passports.
Got the passports. Shall we sing along, Kim? The whole journey is going to take us at least 8 hours. You'll have to use the wheelchair, of course. We've had to make special arrangements through airline assistance in order to get Kim to Zurich because she's in a wheelchair. Airline travel to Amsterdam. Layover in Amsterdam airport. Another flight to Zurich, and then a long taxi drive to a hotel near Dignitas, a little distance from Zurich.
Does it feel today like you expected it to feel?
No, today feels different. Today feels really warm and summery and sunny.
Hi.
Hello.
Andy.
I'm Doctor. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hello. I'm the doctor. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
What did the doctor ask you, Kim?
All sorts. Asked me whether I knew about my condition, and he invited me to ask him a few questions. What's happening? Did task.
Do you really feel you have to go?
I feel I have to go because the symptoms get worse. I don't want Andy or anyone else to take me to the toilet and wipe me and lose all humanity and freedom.
It's okay.
Tomorrow I will die in peace with my sons with me, my husband as well. It's not easy.
It's okay.
Getting emotional.
Love you.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Andrea.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
Andy. This is
Hi.
Kim. Nice to meet you.
I'm
Hi,
Andrea.
Susan.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good
Josh.
morning.
Sean.
Good morning. Let's go inside. It's okay.
Please take a seat.
Okay.
Do you have the original documents here?
Yes, which ones do you want?
The first, we keep the passport here for the police today, and then we send it back in 10-14 days with the death certificate.
We've got the certificate of naturalisation because we don't have a birth certificate because she was born in Vietnam, so we have and we've got a new copy of that. And you need the marriage certificate, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have all three.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, we need your signature here. Okay. Would you like to take something with you in the coffin? Something personal, like a flower or a letter or a photo or something like that?
We look in the garden
We
for
have
a flower.
Yeah. Did the doctor explain you the procedure here with the first medication for your stomach? And then we have to wait minimum 25 minutes, and when you're ready you can take the last medication. So it's up to you when you want to start with the first medication. Do you need some time with your family? And you know you can stop it any time, and you can go back if you want. There is no pressure.
That is beautiful. Isn't that lovely? This is your favourite, isn't it? It does smell beautiful, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
You want a drink of water?
No, I want to drink medication and get one done with.
Okay, do you want to? I'll do that. First medication. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
we will bring it.
Okay.
This is the first medication for your stomach.
There are some chocolates there as well, looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have to wait minimum 25 minutes.
Okay.
But you can wait longer, there is no pressure of time.
Yeah, or do you want to sit in a comfy chair? This looks like a reclining chair, doesn't it?
Yes.
What's
But
best?
For the last medication, when you lie on the bed.
Up you come.
Maybe a little
No,
bit.
it's okay, she can walk. She'll be okay. It's just, she needs just some help, that's all. Right, do you want to? Let's get rocking. There you go. That's it, until you feel the bed at the back of your legs. Right, do you want to be a little further backwards?
Then we'll leave you alone for this time. And
okay, thank you very much.
When you're ready, knock on the door.
Okay. Okay. Can you grab me a tissue, Joshy?
There is one right there.
Oh, there's one here.
No, I say thank you.
Why are you thanking us, Kim?
Why?
Yes.
Because you making this video is important.
You're a very brave woman.
Okay.
Would you like to take the last medication? Okay.
And think about your best day in your life and have a good sleep.
Thank you so much. I love you, Kim. Thank you for raising me. Oh, yeah. Love you, darling. I think she stopped breathing. Yeah. I think she has stopped breathing, yes. She does look the most peaceful I've seen her in a couple of years.
Yeah.
You've done well, you guys, dealing with this. Well done. Let's leave her in peace and let these guys do what they do. Thank you. What a lovely place you have here. Okay, let's go. Right.
I've had my share of good times, the taste of love, the kiss of wine, and I've tried to stand up and be strong. I've tried to help my friends along, and when I'm gone, they'll weep for me, but I'll be a fading memory. We're here today and then we're gone. This life will end just like a song. We only have this little time.
I think it's just too dangerous to go down this road. There are risks, there are unintended consequences, there are things that go wrong. Every bit of legislation I've seen has got room for error in it, has got room for people to get caught up. And if you're going to change the law, you have to make sure that it's safe. This just is not safe, it's too risky.
I've tried to walk the path that winds and leave just these few tombs behind. So when you hear the night bird cry, won't you think of me and sigh? And when the wind sings through the trees, won't you sometimes think of me?
My sister said, I think that we should keep a lock of her hair each. And people knew her for her hair. People used to say, oh, she's the smart lady with the silver bob. And I just remember kissing her and feeling that fuzzy face and smelling her hair. It was lovely. And this hair, I've kept it in a little box, hoping that the smell would stay, but obviously it's been a couple of years now, so it's gone. But yeah, just that. And her laugh, she had a great laugh. Yeah.
We're here today and then we're gone. This life will end just like a song. We all